Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film, The Lone Ranger. Tonto, who tells a little boy at a carnival in the 30s the story of the Lone Ranger, and thus begins the origin story of how the Lone Ranger became the Lone Ranger, and the Lone Ranger is trying to hunt down the guy who killed his brother and made him the Lone Ranger with Tonto's help. People have complained about minor squabbles with Django Unchained and True Grit, and then Lone Ranger comes along as probably one of the most hateable westerns I've seen in my entire lifetime. And I think the reason for that is that Gore Verbinski doesn't really care about making a western. He's just making a Pirates of the Caribbean movie that happens to take place in the West. He made a far better western with Rango. It's interesting that this shares a lot of plot similarities to Rango, yet fails in a lot of the ways that Rango succeeds. It makes references to several movies: Little Big Man, The Red Balloon, The General, Once Upon a Time in the West, The Searchers, and it did them so badly when I was watching them, I was like, oh, well, that's probably a reference to this, but it's so badly done, it probably isn't, and it's just there because that's a coincidence, and like I couldn't accept it. It was very badly shot. Like, there are a lot of wide shots of things that had all the artistic weight of like a National Geographic footage. Just felt like why can't they get the camera in there? I didn't really get the point of making a western like this. Like, why didn't he make a western like a western, but then still reference westerns? It's like, did you want to prove to us that you've seen westerns, but then totally ignore the genre whatsoever? I guess the art direction and the costume designer knew a lot about Sergio Leone, but it doesn't seem like Gore Verbinski does. This is a bloated, it's like 2.5 hour, excessive, ridiculous, badly structured Hollywood movie. This is probably the worst movie I've seen all summer. After Earth and Hangover 3 at least tried to do something different. They were total failures, but they tried. And Gore Verbinski with The Lone Ranger, he's not doing anything different. He's mining the corpse of both his film Rango and Pirates of the Caribbean to make this hybrid that is just god-awful. You can take action-adventure direction and put it in a western, but you have to have like some love for the genre, which like I thought he did, but judging by this, he clearly doesn't. They could never do a standoff in this movie. This movie is too busy. You couldn't hold this movie still for that long because Gore Verbinski is incredibly insecure as an action director. Anyone who stuffs a film full of this many action sequences and has this much stuff going on is clearly insecure about having a silent movement where people just stare at each other and are waiting for them to reach for their guns and shoot each other down. This film has none of that. It was shot in Monument Valley, which is clearly not in Texas, and famously not in Texas, and yet this film takes place in Texas. I think one of the things about westerns that this film just doesn't get is westerns have a lot of character development in them. That's mainly what they're about. You know, it was like character development and then a few gunslinging stuff, you know, and there weren't a lot of that stuff. And that this film just is like, ah, fuck it, we want to have a Pirates movie. I don't know what Johnny Depp is doing anymore. It feels like he's kind of been able to do this whole like, oh, I'm a leading big movie star, but like I'm playing the supporting role for whatever dumb reason because he's a character actor. People are like, oh, he's a character actor who just happens to be a leading man. I just think he's a leading man who thinks he's like too cool to be the leading man, so he's a character actor, which was annoying. I don't know why he thinks he can play Tonto, who's a Native American, why they couldn't get a Native American actor, why Johnny Depp had to be Tonto. His whole Tonto thing was ridiculous. I guess with him telling the little boy the story, that's supposed to be like Little Big Man. This is such a corporate, clunky, shitty movie. This is like the kind of movie people are like, oh, well, we can just apply the same theory and it'll work. And I've never seen that kind of mentality fail so spectacularly. Gore Verbinski and Johnny Depp together have such like a confidence about what they're doing that's false confidence of what they're doing. They're basically like pissing on the face of John Ford and Sergio Leone with this movie. It's like they don't even care about the Western genre. This is as clunky as all the Pirates sequels. It's far too long. It's far too excessive. They wanted to make another Pirates type movie and Lone Ranger just happens to be the casualty that got involved. Hallmark Westerns are edgier than this piece of crap. The whole structure is a total mess. I mean, you have Tonto, you have a big revelation about Tonto that really should have been done at the beginning. but you know, we can't do that for whatever dumb reason. It seems to be able to structure the storytelling element of it when he's telling the stupid kid this whole story, which doesn't even really make sense as an unreliable narrator type scenario, because that comes and goes. This movie just made me go, I'm so sick of this Johnny Depp crap. Like, he made one Pirates movie that I liked, and I've had to sit through all this crap where he is, oh, he's not the leading man, but he is the leading man. You know, oh, I'm the supporting actor, but I'm all over the fucking poster. Johnny Depp, like, kind of like, you know, pretending he's Lon Chaney. He is not that great of an actor anymore. He's just playing the same note over and over and over again, and it's just boring. Like, he's not interesting or funny or cute or quirky anymore. Like, he's playing Jack Sparrow in a Tim Burton character again. This just doesn't even attempt to really do or even have the subtlety that westerns used to have. It just wants to be a big, crappy, clunky western. You know, it's worse than Cowboys and Aliens. It's not funny in the least. I hate this movie. I just hated watching it. Afterwards, my brain was numb. I know I've seen a bad movie. The same feeling I got from A Good Day to Die Hard, I got from this. It's just like I don't even want to talk about it. It's like I feel like my eyes want to bleed because I hate this movie so much. Lone Ranger just like kind of just doesn't care. It kind of has such a confidence about this kind of style, and it ends several times and like restarts, and like just to bring up points that like an stupid in-joke about the Lone Ranger at the end that didn't really need to be in there. Everything wrong about a Hollywood movie is on display in the Lone Ranger. This is an awful, awful western. This is just awful. Johnny Depp's not funny anymore. Armie Hammer and him have so little chemistry. Please never see the Lone Ranger. I think it is pretty much an abortion of filmmaking and an abortion of the Western genre, and I hope someone makes a better Western than this, because I don't want this to be how the genre dies. To be honest, it's awful enough to just like make me never really wanted to see a modern Western again, at least if they're gonna make it as cluelessly and as confident as Gore Verbinski does. So if you have seen The Lone Ranger and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to.